Are we back? Are we back is the question. Can everyone hear me okay? The internet could totally see you now. Oh, yes. Can you hear me okay? Oh, great. Brilliant. Thank you everyone so much for your patience. Like I said, the internet in the house is diabolical at best. So I've had to tether my phone internet. I just hope... if the live stream dies at any point, it's probably because my phone ran out of internet data, which I really hope isn't the case. So I'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I'm back. I'm glad you guys can hear me. And yeah, so face reveal. People are asking, Simply Catherine. That face reveal will come soon when I hit 100k. Just like I promised. So, not yet. Hopefully, hopefully in the next week and a half, I think. 2 weeks. So just wait and see, everyone. Anyway, as I was about to say, I've got a few things that I would like to talk about. So I'm not going to look at the chat just this minute, but I am going to speak about a few things. Okay, number one, bit of news, bit of an update. If you guys aren't aware or if you've missed the videos I've spoken about this in, the PO box is finally open. Funnily enough, the PO box was paid for by you guys in your absolutely awesome super chats in these last few live streams. So thank you to everyone who's contributed towards that. It really means a lot. And yeah, if anyone would like to send me anything, feel free. I look forward to it. And seeing as I am doing a face reveal, you never know. Maybe I'll even do a video of me opening what you guys send me, which I think would be pretty cool. Anyway, oh, and as I said before, to answer Bitty's comment, the face reveal is optional. So I'm going to leave a link where you can find my face. I'm not going to put it on a regular video, because if you don't want to see it, if you like the mystery, I don't think it's fair on you. All you have to do is click one tiny link, and that will take you to somewhere where you can see my face. And I think that's fair enough. And that way, if you want to see it, you can, and if you don't want to, you don't have to. Anyway, so one thing that a lot of you have asked me in my previous live streams is, what is my favourite story? What is my favourite all-time scary story to narrate? And I've gone back and I found the exact one which I love the most. So what I'm going to do now, or very shortly, is I'm going to read my favourite story, the one that I've haven't read in a while, but I never actually read it. Someone else read it on my channel. I'm going to try and do it justice, and I'll read it for you live. And after that, maybe we'll have a bit of Q&A, if you guys like, and then finishing off with a few sneak peeks on tonight's video. High five to anyone who can guess what the topic will be. So, feel free to spam the comment section with what you think is going to hit you tonight. That will be quite interesting. Alright, everyone. So, if you're all ready, I'm going to go back in time to one of my favourite stories ever. Let's begin. Oh, and right before we do, lovely super chat from Regina Brown. Hey Mort, I appreciate all your hard work. I listen to your videos while I work. Keeps me going. Well, Regina, I'm so glad that it helps you out and that it keeps you going. Really happy to hear that. And thank you so much for joining the live stream. It really means a lot. Thanks. Alright then. Let's get this party started. Just by the way, whilst I'm reading, I'm not going to be able to read the chat at the same time. So just pause on your thoughts, on your what's the word? On your predictions, because I won't actually be able to see them. So from this moment on, I can't see the super chat, or the regular chat for that matter. So yeah, we'll resume after the story's over. So sit back, relax, and let the darkness take control. Alright, here we go. This specific story that I would like to share is one that's passed down to me from my late grandfather. The circumstances are so unusual, so unlike anything I've ever heard, that it's been in the back of my mind for nearly 20 years, ever since it was first told to me when I was a child. My granddad was a great talker and storyteller in his own way, and my family agrees that he wouldn't mind if I shared it with others. Sorry guys, had to breathe. Anyway. The look on my grandfather's face every time he told this story, well, you could tell that it shook him up. First, I need to give a little background. My grandfather was born in the early 20s in a dirt floor 2-bedroom farmhouse in rural South Carolina, an only child of a sharecropper during the Great Depression. He was a premature baby, and his parents, already having lost one infant, were understandably protective of him. I'm sure they were relieved and very happy that he was a strong and healthy child, albeit with an incredible amount of wanderlust. Restless and energetic, he almost always finished his chores as quickly as he could, so that he could take up his little fishing rod and roam to his heart's content. Back then, even horse-drawn carts were a rarity on those long dirt roads. Sorry guys, need a drink real quick, my throat hurts. Sorry, back to this story. Cars were practically unheard of in that part of the country in those days. Disliking horses, but still greatly desiring to put as much distance between his home and himself as he and greatly desiring to put as much distance between home and himself as he could in the span of an afternoon, my granddad had little choice other than to walk. And walk he did. He combed through miles of wood, fields, and swampland, barefoot, as the day he came into this world, heedless of brambles or snakes. They couldn't bother him if he didn't bother them. As much as he enjoyed it, it was a lonely business. His father was a hale man, with acres of land to help tend, as well as livestock. He hardly had time to join his son on the walks. Sometimes one of the local boys would go with him, but that wasn't often. So practically being kin to everyone within a 30-mile radius, my granddad took up the grand old southern tradition of going visiting. One of his favourite places to go was Uncle Peter's. Uncle Peter lived on one of the branches of the lake that stretched across a goodly portion of the country. It was a tiny shack, hardly more than a shanty, and barely big enough to fit both him and his spinster sister, Henrietta. But they made do. Now, Uncle Peter loved to talk about as much as he loved to fish. So when he would spot my grandfather coming up the dirt track towards the house, he'd put whatever he was working on aside. Aunt Henrietta was prone to giving him the stink eye for this, but she was fond of my grandfather too, so she never said anything. It became a tradition of sorts for my grandfather to put a spare t-shirt in his sack, along with a treat of some kind that my mother made. His mother made, and head off for Uncle Peter's every other weekend. He did this for years, right up until he married my grandmother. Usually, it was about dark when he'd set off, meaning it was well after sunset before he even got there. The distance between his house and Uncle Peter's being in the reckoning of about 6 or 7 miles. My grandfather tended to stay through Sunday, heading home after evening supper, which tended to be on the table well after dark. Suffice to say, there wasn't much to be afraid of back then, other than the local wildlife. And as I said before, as long as you minded your own business, they minded theirs. He'd been walking through the countryside all night. He'd been walking through the countryside at night all his life. He was comfortable and felt very safe. As had become habit throughout the years, my grandfather kissed Aunt Henrietta goodbye, shook Uncle Peter's hand, and started home at a brisk pace. It was autumn, so the air was pleasantly cool, a welcome relief from summer's oppressively humid heat. He said that there was a full moon that night, and when he would walk out in the open, it was fairly well lit. He could easily see where he was going. The dirt track that led away from Uncle Peter's shack meandered through a bit of marshland before it ended at the wider road. Usually, he didn't take that route unless he felt like a bit of a wander, since cutting through the fields and woodlands was the straighter shot back to his parents' farmhouse, and the road slithered and slunk its way around the far side of the lake before curving back in the direction of home. That night, however, with the moonlight and the refreshing nip from the wind, my grandfather felt the urge to do a bit of meandering. Turning at the end of the path, he stepped on the road, barefoot as a jaybird and softly whistling to himself. The route was so familiar that he hardly paid any attention to the surroundings, and let his feet do most of the work while his attention was to the surroundings. Letting his feet do most of the work while he occupied himself with other thoughts. Before he knew it, he was approaching the lake. The water was calm at night, dark and still. He slowed down a little, wanting to watch the way the light rippled and shimmered gently. It was such a wanting to watch the way. It was such a pretty sight that he nearly missed what was standing not far up the road. At first, it was just a silhouette, a tall and solid-looking shadow that seemed to be facing the water. Grandad thought it might have been a trick of the light initially. He'd walked through a cemetery once in the middle of the night, and thought he'd seen a soldier riding a white horse, until he got closer and realized it was just a large dewdrop spiderweb. As he drew nearer, he quickly realized it wasn't his eyes. There was something standing on the other side of the road. In fact, it was a man. He could tell by the build and broad shoulders, and narrow at the hips. He could even tell by the clothes, even in the moonlight. It was evident that the man wore a dark suit that did not fit him well. A shapeless hat was on his head, causing his form to appear elongated and odd-looking. From the distance of several feet, Grandad could see the shine of good shoes, polished until they picked up the water's gleam. The man was standing too close to the water, so close in fact that the waves were lapping at those expensive-looking shoes. The lake's shifting reflection softly illuminated his face, and Grandad could make out strong features that had been weathered with time and toil. The lines around his mouth and eyes were distinctive as he smiled. That's when Grandad realized the man was smiling at him. In fact, the man had been staring at him just as long, or longer, as Grandad had been doing the same. Quickly remembering his manners, he greeted the man politely. The man's expression didn't change as his head turned to follow my Grandad's movement until he stopped on the other side of the road. A little unnerved, my grandfather stood awkwardly for a long moment, waiting for what he thought would be the appropriate amount of time to reply. The man didn't speak. His face never changed. But he slowly brought his hand up and made a beckoning motion with his fingers, silently asking my Grandad to come closer. My Grandad shook his head. "No, sir. I can't stay and talk. I have to get home. You have a nice night." Dipping his head, my Grandad started walking again, passing the strange man with a slightly quicker pace than he'd been walking before, feeling that he was being watched. He stopped again a little further up the road. He turned to look back to the man He turned to look back to see the man had turned around, so that he was facing the direction my Grandad was going, still staring at him. But now he was waist deep in the water. Confused and shocked, my Grandad could only gape at the man as he stood in the lake, that same grin on his face as he lifted his hand and beckoned again. Shaking his head quickly, my Grandad repeated what he'd said before, the words out of his mouth, before he couldn't think how weird they sounded now. "No, sir. I can't stay and talk. I have to get home. You have a nice night." He whipped around and started walking even faster up the road, listening for the sound of splashing or footsteps behind him. But there was nothing. And that was when it struck him. He'd never heard a sound. No splash, no drip, no scuffle of shoes against dirt. Silence. Closing in on the trees, he felt a shiver run down the back of his spine as the feeling of being watched washed over him again. He froze on the spot. Everything in him was telling him to just keep walking and not stop until he was through his mother's kitchen door. But there was an even stronger urge to turn around, to look back one more time. The compulsion was too much to resist. He turned again to look at the lake. The man was still there, only now he was further in. The water was up to his shoulders now, and he was still smiling, even from the distance of several yards in the dark. Grandad knew the man was still smiling. There was movement, and he saw the man lift his hand up a third time, motioning for him to come back, to come closer, to come into the water. Grandad wasn't sure which, or even if it was any of those things, and he never found out. Without a word, he turned to face the trees and walked away. He walked the 7 miles home, unnerved and perplexed. And for the next 80 years, until his death at the age of 91, he never figured out who the man was, why he was there, or what he wanted. Over and over again he told us that story. The encounter clearly haunted him. It haunts me. I shudder to think what would have happened to my granddad if he'd actually gotten close to the man or lingered by the lake that night. But one thing that has stuck out in my mind about the experience more than anything is that the man stood almost neck deep in water and didn't even make a ripple. And there you have it. That was my all-time favourite scary story. And my goodness, you guys in the chat are going crazy. I think I must have missed a lot. Maybe it's just catching me up. So I'm going to address the super chats. Oh goodness, there are a few. Let's have a look. Denise W. Mort, you're awesome. We all love you. Thank you so much, Denise. I hope you enjoyed this story and enjoyed tonight's video as well. Jenny Wolf Matt. Here you go, Mort. Have a good night, people. This is a great channel. Thank you so much for the donation, Jenny. And finally, oh no, not finally. Jen J71. Hey, Mort. Keep up the spookies. Thank you, Jen J. And finally, Bitty Bitty. Thank you so much for your lovely donation. Thank you all. It really means a lot. Seriously. So I'm now going to catch up with what is going on in the chat. Let's have a look. Whisper your name, Mortis, like your wife does in the intros. Mortis Media. Someone said, how are you live on 2 channels at once? What? I'm not live. Can I be live twice? Nah. I don't really sure what. Maybe YouTube's a bit messed up. How's Pandora doing? She's fine. We changed her diet a few weeks ago. And she really wasn't taking to it that well. So we put her back on the regular diet. And she's been doing great since then. Thank you so much for asking. So Galia de la Rosa asks, yeah, why is it your favourite story? Well, it's because, well, there's just something about it. It's the way it's written is beautifully done. The fact that the man was just so incredibly creepy. And the way that he's perceived in the story. And just how weird the whole thing is really resonates with me. And I don't know. I don't know why I find it so incredibly alluring. But it's just my favourite. Out of everything I've read, that is by far the one that haunts me the most. Maybe it's because it was, you know, nearly 100 years ago, this story. Well, yeah, it's over 100 years ago, so it's old. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's almost unexplainable. All these things are things that I really like. And this story just kind of brings it all together to add such a big element of mystery. Because obviously we're left with so many questions. I don't know who that man was. And by the end of the story, I am desperate to find out who he was, why he was there, and just know more. And there goes an ambulance. But yeah, that's the reason. AimSeekins, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the story. And thank you again for your very kind donation. It is incredibly appreciated. So that's why. And I'm really glad you guys enjoyed it. Okay. Oof. So I'm going to have a look. Has anyone guessed it yet? Daniel, I do remember you. Thank you. Let's have a look. Cara Williams, it's my first time catching you live. Well, I'm glad you could make it, Cara. Let's see. That man was my dad. Lol. When is the face reveal? It's very soon. 100k. Right. Can anyone guess the topic for tonight's video? If you can, I'll give you a few minutes. I'll read you a sneak peek of what is to come. So go ahead. Throw your topics or your questions out there. Happy birthday, Yon, as well. Oh, Nathan Sampson, did I get your email? Yes, I did. I'm trying to work on it, but doing all of that takes time. I will let you know when it's done. Halloween stories, no. Stories in the Rain, no. Urbex, scary dolls, serial killers, wilderness, urban. Great ideas. Sadly, no. Michael Porter, I love your videos. I'm from a native reserve, so me and my girlfriend love your Skinwalker videos. Thank you, Michael. I really love those as well. I know that I don't mean I hope you don't encounter one, but if you do, or if you have any stories, I personally would love to hear them. So feel free to send them over. But you know, I hope that you don't experience anything horrible. Swamp Things, no. Poltergeists, good ideas, good ideas. La Llorona, nope, another great idea. Ghost stories, I like that, but it's not abandoned paranormal aliens family members. Nope. Been camping in Skinwalkers, so probably won't see you later. I forgot the right wording. Five Nights at Freddy's. And if you want to send me anything, you just have to send it to my email. Pink Champagne, hello from London. Hope you're doing well in New Zealand. I do love New Zealand. Haunted hotels, police, haunted houses. You make my English better. Very glad to hear that. Let's not meet. Nope. Woods. Arcade Tales. Stalkers, haunted highways. Daniel, I do hope to see you in Norway too. Hopefully soon. Witches. Oh, Witches would be a great one. B-Buster is live too. That might be why someone thought you were live on 2 channels. Oh. Wendigos, no. Hello, Nightmare Files. Hi from South Africa. Glad. Truckers, nope. Galia, that was yesterday. Oh, come on, guys. I feel like you're so close. So close. Well, I'll give you one more minute and then I'll tell you. C, that one's coming a bit later. Trick or treat stories, nope. Babysitting, I do love babysitting stories. Tyrex Dragon, the #1 Bonnie fan. Go ahead, post your question. When are you posting with stories, tales, and ghostly fables again? I would love to soon. I'm just waiting, I think, for October to be over, and then I will do it. Mortis, where are you from? Your Spanish pronunciation is good, lol. Thank you. It is. I've been brought up speaking Spanish, so that's how I speak it. Pandora, horror stories. Don't have any horror stories to tell about her. Bigfoot, dragons. Well, you know, other than it was a dark night and I was asleep and Pandora woke up in the middle of the night and then I had to get up. That's probably about as scary as it gets. Let's see. Murder, nope. Oh, alright, guys. Oh, someone guessed it. Well done. Tori Loika, well done. It is cults. Cult stories. Well done for guessing that. Cult stories is coming tonight. How come people have selfies as profile pics? I don't know. I don't know. Ask everyone else. Cults. I love cult stories. They're some of my favourites. I'm not really sure why. I just really like how dark they can get. So if you guys like, I can give you a sneak peek into what's coming today. So just let me know. So put either yes or no. And just let me know if you would like some cult stories now. Yeah, okay. Alright then. Let's get to it. Cult story preview. So these stories will be out tonight at the regular time, but you guys are going to get a little bit of a bonus. Let's have a look. How about... should I do this one? I'm just picking the best one to do. Here we go. Maybe I'll do 2. Let's have a look at this one. Nope, not that one. This one? Just really want to pick a good one for you guys. Sorry, it's taking a bit longer. Maybe I should have prepared in advance. Alright then. I think this one might do it. Alright then. Alright then. Okay, this is fairly long. I'm going to get into it. I'm just going to have a drink of water. And I think we'll begin soon. Right. Let's get culting. I was a member of a discipleship program. It was a 13-month minimum Pentecostal Reformative Center. The program was in the middle of Arkansas. I was one of 35 students there, and I was in a women's center. Every morning, we would wake up at 5:30 to pray. We would all go to the basements and sit on our knees, facing the backs of chairs, and pray out loud for 1 hour every morning. They had leaders walk around the room to make sure everyone was praying. If you didn't pray out loud or fell asleep, you were punished. After that, we ate a communal breakfast, read Proverbs, and did chores around the center until 9:30. We then would either go to the shop or down to the classroom. In the classroom, we did Bible study and practical appliances of Bible principles in our life. The shop was much better. We would try and make crosses and plaques, and other knickknacks which we would sell to fund the ministry. It was a free program, so we would stand outside of Walmart's with our crafts table, taking donations and selling our handmade wares, much like gypsies. After we were done with our daily tasks, we would eat dinner and take showers. Weekday lights out was 10 p.m. We could only talk to our families once a week, for 10 minutes at a time. The leaders would listen to our phone conversations, and if we said anything that the ministry deemed unwholesome, the phone call was terminated, and you lost your right to speak with your family indefinitely. Every aspect of your life was regimented. You were never by yourself, unless you were using the bathroom or showering. If you broke one of their rules, like blaspheming the Holy Spirit or questioning authority, you were put on discipline. Discipline lasted anywhere between 2 weeks to 3 months, depending on the infraction. You ate last, getting the leftovers once everyone else was done. You couldn't speak to your family at all. You had to work out in the shop for long periods of time, and this was bad because there was no running water or a toilet, just a bucket. You had extra prayer time and had more scripture to memorize. They didn't allow you to take medicine or go to the doctor. If you got sick, it's because you allowed the devil into your body, and the only way to fix it was through prayer. I was put on discipline a lot when I first came to the program. Being 19, I was the youngest girl there, and coming from a non-Pentecostal religious upbringing, I was shocked and scared by the environment. I couldn't tell my family, however, and they wouldn't have even believed me if I could tell them the sort of environment I was in. I came in on March 10th, 2009, and after 4 months of being on pretty much constant discipline, I resigned myself to my fate and started buckling in. I was a good fundraiser. I usually brought in around $1,000 to the ministry every weekend. The program claimed to show no favoritism to the students who brought in the most money, but that was not the case. Being the youngest and having all of my teeth meant they brought me with them to various churches and other sponsorship opportunities. The pastors used me as an example to people that they were trying to give us money as representation of how beautiful the love of God could make people. I was one of the favorited students, and they began letting me watch a little TV, talk to my family more, and take me to get food occasionally. Along with fundraising, they decided to open up a diner. They hired the program's director daughter's baby daddy as the main chef because he used to work in the kitchens in prison. His name was Jay. He was not a good man. They only sent the good students to the diner, the ones who had been there the longest. There were around 7 of us going there every day, working in the kitchens and running the cash register. He was young and really good looking and charismatic. He even started flirting with all of us, and everyone loved the attention. We weren't allowed to talk to men, so it was nice to be able to talk with a man without being written up for it. He had total authority over us while we were there every day, and he soon started taking advantages of his liberties to punish us. He started going a lot further with his advances. There were only a few girls there that he liked, and would make a point to be in line with us as much as he could. Some of them liked it. I didn't. He liked the fact I didn't like it, and he would hound me every day, going in further and further with what he tried. One day he cornered me in the walk-in cooler and grabbed me from behind. He was trying his hardest to get me to do him, and when I refused, it enraged him, and he started trying to take it by force. I fought back, but he was a lot bigger than me, and he was yanking my trousers down. I remember really praying for the first time, "God, please save me." And right as I said this, someone happened to walk into the cooler. It was one of my sisters. Jay dropped me, pulled up his pants, and walked out screaming. I called Emily with a cell phone in the walk-in, and I was put in discipline for 2 months, the longest I had ever heard anyone being put on discipline for. He told the pastors he caught me trying to call my boyfriend. I didn't even have a boyfriend going in, and I tried to tell them he had attacked me, showed them the bruises on my back and arms, and they said I was trying to get out of punishment. All the other girls at the diner were scared to say anything about him for fear of punishment as well. He requested I stay on at the diner during my discipline because I was good in the kitchen, and they allowed it. He must have felt sorry for what he did, because he took it real easy with me when I was there. He started trying to tell me that he was in love with me, or trying to woo me. Several girls had left at this point, all telling the higher-ups about Jay and his attacks, but they dismissed all the allegations. I was stranded in Arkansas, 500 miles from home with no money and no way of getting home. I couldn't go to the police because the sheriff's wife worked for the ministry, and she told him that the girls invented sexual abuse stories to get out of discipline. I was in hell. I started praying in earnest that something would be done about the situation, and it did. A girl came into the program whose parents were massive donors to the ministry. They gave the ministry about $100K a year, every year. So naturally, she was given the cushy grill job almost immediately. He tried putting his hands down her pants, and she immediately threatened to tell her parents. That got the pastor's attention, and he was fired. They shut down the grill as well, and I was delivered from Jay at last. They decided to open up another centre in the city that I am from, and in my 10th month, I was sent home. I was under the direction of a different pastor and his wife. They were genuinely good people, and once I was there, I was able to actually do a lot of growing spiritually. I graduated after 14 months and went on to living in the real world again. I got together with my husband, and we have a 4-month son now. The experience I went through at that place was the single most influential situation I have ever been through in my life. It sounds like a horrible place, but the struggles I went through there helped me make me a solid person today. It molded the way I look at life now. I take nothing for granted, and I wake up with joy. There's so much more I could tell you about the place, the horrors, but I think I'll leave it there for now. And there you have it. There was your sneak peek. I hope you guys liked it. Just going to see that I'm all caught up, see if there's any super chats. Nope, we're all good. Alright then. Like I said, I really hope that you guys enjoyed that story. That may or may not be in tonight's video. You guys will have to wait and see. And hello, Mr. Extremes. So great to see you here. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. We've only got a few more minutes left of the stream. So feel free to shoot some final questions before I wrap it up for tonight. I think next stream I'm going to do something a little different. I'll run it by you. So yeah. And yes, that was a true story about what happens in a cult. Pretty creepy if you ask me. Alright then, let's have a look. Any last minute questions? I don't get ginger candy here in Wales. I don't have ginger candy either, Denise. Hey, we decided to call ourselves morticians. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. I think the stream might be a bit delayed. Still not getting any last minute questions. Let's have a look. We need serial killer stories. I did those quite recently, I think. Cult stories usually end up with pretty depressing notes, but this one didn't. Yeah, I'm glad I picked this one because I thought it didn't end everyone on a downer. So I like that. Tyrex, what is your dare? What's for dinner? Mrs. Vida. Well, dinner was a few hours ago, so nothing else today. A picture of you with makeup? Cabin stories. We just did cabin stories. Ghost stories are dropping in a few days. Does Pandora look like you or your wife? Both, really. I don't think she looks exactly like either of us. Ginger is a cure for anything. Do we have a date for the 100k live stream and a face reveal? The 100k video will have a link to my face. I won't be doing it in the live stream because the internet will just crash and you guys won't enjoy it. Let's see. Oh gosh, so many questions now. Morty, will you be doing any buried alive horror stories? Well, it's just hard to find them. If I get them, I'll do them. But it could take a while. But I don't ever dismiss it. Let's have a look. Ooh. Amsikins, thank you so much again for your lovely donation. Mort, you seriously rock. Here's for the next month's postbox. Thank you so much. Well, you know, it's worth it. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys send over. Can I get a shout out, Mort? Of course you can, Jimmy Waters. There you go. more camping stories, not till next month. I think we've pretty much done all of nature this week. Sheila, you can't listen to the audiobook. That is so strange. Email me and I'll send you another link. But just tell me the country you're in. Maybe it's specific to that. Black Eyed Kids stories, might be getting a few more of those soon. I dare you to put a pic of Bonnie the Bunny on screen. Oh, I can't because it will kill my connection. More, have you heard about Sally's house in Atchison, Kansas? I don't think I have. More, you should do Ouija boards. I've done Ouija board stories. Can you make a story about Dia de los Muertos? Oh, I am. I am doing that on the 2nd. So just wait and see. It's going to be good. What's the audiobook about? Well, for those of you guys who are interested in the audiobook and don't actually know, the audiobook is about technology. It's how it it's about how an app takes over aspects of people's lives. It's about a lot of death, a lot of cannibalism. Well, not a lot. A bit of cannibalism. Technology. It's really, really dark horror stuff. And for everyone who listens to my channel, I think it'd be something you'd enjoy. So if you haven't checked it out, do it. I mean, it's pretty good. Darking Plays. There's your shout out. You probably play games, I guess. Let's have a look. Oh, did someone ask what's my sign? It's Gemini. Gemini is my sign. It's a haunted house, which is one of America's most haunted houses. That sounds pretty good. I'd probably somewhere I'd like to go. Oh yeah, drop your star sign. It's Gemini. Clarissa is a Cancer star sign. Cool. And a bit of cannibalism. Well, it is there. What's my favourite food? It's rice pudding. Bank account's empty. Would have sent you a couple of bucks. Don't worry, guys. Don't ever feel bad about not sending a super chat. I'm always grateful for what you guys send, but no one should ever feel obligated to send it, so we're all good. Let's see. Capricorn here. I'm from the UK, Mortis. Well, thank you so much, Sheila. Send me an email, please do, and I'll send you the right link. And I hope it works for you. I love your voice and rice pudding. Me too. Well, rice pudding. Right, guys. Well, I think we're going to call it a night here. Yep, we're going to end the note on a bit of cannibalism and rice pudding. So, I've got to finish recording 3 more cult stories. It's going to be good. I'm going to wish all of you lovely 150 people good night. And a new video will drop in 4 hours. Well, you didn't answer my question. From Jean. Oh, Jean, I am so sorry. Where's your question? I'll answer Jean's question. Because she wrote it. And I didn't see it. I can't see. Jean, do you have bros and sis? Oh, right, yeah, easy question. Yes, I do. I have 2 bros. One of them is a fellow YouTuber. When he likes to be. But he's really busy right now, so he hasn't really got time. He does history profiles. You can find the link in on my videos and my favorite section. And my other brother doesn't have a YouTube channel, but he's thinking of the idea. He might start one, he might not. He likes the new Super Smash Bros. Well, he wants to play it, and he might do a channel based on that. But we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, thank you all so much for listening. And yeah, have a great night. I'm going to finish this the way I finish all videos. And hopefully I see you in the next live stream at the same time next week. But anyway, for now, guys, I'm going to sign off. Stay awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.